Hello and a very warm welcome to Political Economy with Shweta Punj. The big question that we are hoping to find some answers to is that why is the Election Commission revising electoral rolls in Bihar? Have these revisions happened previously? What does this mean for the Election Commission of India? What does this mean for Bihar elections? And most importantly, what does this mean for voters such as you and I? Joining me for this conversation is former Election Commissioner, Mr. Ashok Lavasa. Mr. Lavasa, thank you very much for joining us on Moneycontrol.
Thank you very much, Shweta, for inviting me.
It's our pleasure, sir. We'd like to begin by giving some context to our viewers. The Supreme Court on July 10th declined to restrain the Election Commission of India from going ahead with what is being called as a special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar, but advised it to consider allowing Aadhaar, voter ID cards and ration cards as valid documents for updating the rolls. There is widespread political opposition and significant confusion on the ground in Bihar over ECI's new requirement that even existing electors, if enrolled after 2003, must furnish documentary proof to establish their date and or place of birth, which is then used to determine citizenship. The SIR has triggered concerns over its potential to disenfranchise large number of electors. What has happened during intensive earlier revisions of electoral rolls in the country, and what safeguards have evolved over time? Well, Mr. Lavasa is here to break that down for us. Mr. Lavasa, let me begin with the most obvious question first, that when, as somebody who has been a part of the Election Commission, when you see these developments, what is the first thing that's coming to your mind today? Was this necessary? Was the intensive revision necessary for the state of Bihar?
Thank you very much, Shweta. I think the question about timing has already been flagged by the Supreme Court of India, where many people have agitated this issue. Now, the context of this is that as per the Representation of People's Act and as per the registration of electors rules, there is a revision that takes place every year, particularly in states which are facing an election like Bihar is in 2025. So what we know is that in January of 2025, Election Commission had published a role which was the updated role. As per practice, after the publication of this role until the announcement of the elections, those who have been left out are given an opportunity to get themselves enrolled. Equally, those who want their vote to be shifted out, they can also approach the respective ERO as per a laid down procedure. So this practice of ongoing updation of roll revision is part of the established procedure. And it is on account of this that the sudden announcement made by the Election Commission of a special intensive revision that has caused anxiety. And let me tell you that what this amounts to is two things. A, it creates a distinction between those who were registered before 2003, and by the way, that was the last special intensive revision of the electoral rolls, and those who have been registered as electors after that. So one, there is a distinction between the two. And secondly, that even those who were registered after 2003, they have been divided into three categories depending on the date of their birth. Now, these are new procedures that have been evolved by the Election Commission of India, and clearly people think that there is not enough time for the people to comprehend the purpose of this and understand the procedure which they have to follow in order to protect their voting rights.
Last intensive revision happened in 2003. How was that done, Mr. Lavasa? Because this time around, what the EC has also come out and said is that Aadhaar cards will not be considered as valid proof of ID. Now, when Aadhaar was rolled out, it was what we were told was that Aadhaar is a valid proof of identification. Now, this is completely going against what we have been told in the past.
Well, first of all, Aadhaar didn't exist in 2003. So that is a historical fact. But the point is that I think Election Commission would do well to share with everyone the procedure was followed in the special intensive revision of 2003. From what I understand, generally in a special intensive revision, the field officers, that is a BLO, is required to go from house to house and meet the head of the family in that house, find out who are the ordinary residents in that house, and based on his physical survey, carry out an intensive sort of field survey, and then a draft rule is published. After the publication of draft rules, as per rules, people are given an opportunity to file their claims and objections, and it is after the period of claims and objections and the decision taken by the competent authority, who in this case is the electoral registration officer, that the rolls are published. So that is pretty much the procedure which has been laid down. And as I said, that this time the difference is that there are two categories of electors: those registered before 2003, those registered after 2003. And in its order, the Commission has said that those registered before 2003, they have a presumption of citizenship attached to them. Now, this is something which has baffled people because this was not done earlier.
Interesting. So, those that were enrolled pre 2003, they have a presumption of citizenship attached to them. But post 2003, the onus is now on the electors to come out and prove their citizenship. And that is
That's right.
also and that is of course putting the onus on them, which the concern is that a lot of electors could be left out of the process. And how valid of a concern is that, Mr. Lavasa?
Well, to the extent that all those who have been enrolled after 2003, they are being asked to resubmit the documents which they may have earlier submitted and based on which their names were included in the electoral rolls. This is acknowledged by the Commission in its order of 24 June, by which they ordered the SIR. So the order does say that people who were enrolled earlier, as per the provisions of Section 23 of the Representation of People Act, they need to resubmit their documents. Now, if somebody is unable to furnish those documents, then what would be the consequence? The possible consequence could be that his name is left out of the electoral roll. Now, here is a gray area because it is being discussed that initially the impression was that you had to submit all the documents by the 25th of July when the enumeration form was to be submitted. Now, of course, it is being said, and this is attributed to an advertisement issued by the CEO of Bihar, that people can submit their enumeration form without submitting the required documents. Now, it is a matter of opinion, or somebody needs to clarify whether after 25th of July, those who have submitted the enumeration forms by the prescribed date, will they be asked to submit the documents later? Most likely, they will have to submit the documents in order to retain their name in the draft electoral roll because of two reasons. A, in the absence of the documents which the Election Commission has prescribed, on what basis? First, the BLO will recommend their inclusion in the draft roll. Let us for a moment presume that all those who have submitted their enumeration form, their names get included in the draft roll. after 25th of July or after 1st of August, which is the
Hmm.
date on which the draft rule will be published, you
Hmm.
will have two categories of people, electors in the roll. A, those who have submitted valid documents,
Yeah.
and those who have not submitted valid documents. Now, I am unable to understand on what basis the ERO will make up his mind
Hmm.
whether to include everybody or not to include everybody.
Hmm.
Because the test which Election Commission has indirectly prescribed is a
Hmm.
test of citizenship. By
Right.
attaching evidentiary value to
Hmm.
those whose names existed in 2003,
Hmm.
ECI has attached evidentiary value of their
Hmm.
citizenship if they
Hmm.
existed in 2003 roles. It could be inferred
Hmm.
that those who have enrolled later,
Hmm.
they they will be treated as citizens and their
Hmm.
voting rights will be protected if they
Hmm.
submit satisfactory
Hmm.
prescribed evidence. So I think that has led to a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern among people, and that is why these issues have been agitated in the court.
Right.
Now, we should also, Shweta, not forget the fact that
Hmm.
these people who are about 3 crores or more,
Yeah.
that also is disputable, that
Hmm.
number. The
Hmm.
point is that after 2003, there have
Hmm.
been five general elections and there have
Hmm.
been five state assembly elections in
Hmm.
Bihar. And
Hmm.
many of them could have voted. I don't know the exact number out of this, but many of them could have voted.
Hmm.
Now, suddenly they feel that if we are not able to produce these documents,
Hmm.
will we have the right to vote? So I think that is a big question hanging over everybody's head.
Right. Also, what the EC has done is it's raised a big question mark on the, on the validity of Aadhaar, because, like I said earlier, when Aadhaar was being introduced, it was considered as a valid form of identity. You can use an Aadhaar to open a bank account and so on. But right now, with EC specifically saying that Aadhaar will not be considered as a valid form of identification, Mr. Lavasa, there are two things that emerge from this. One is that is the Election Commission overstepping its powers? That's one. And second, what does this mean for Aadhaar as an identity card?
Well, I think this is one of the issues that came up before the Supreme Court.
Hmm.
And the Supreme Court has requested the Election Commission to consider including Aadhaar, EPIC, and the ration card.
Hmm.
And in case the ECI differs
Hmm.
or decides not to consider them, then
Hmm.
they have been asked to explain or give the reasons in writing. So I
Hmm.
think that is an open question. But that having said, I think we
Hmm.
must realize that probably Aadhaar or any other form of identification could have been one of the documents based on which they initially got enrolled in the electoral roll.
Right. Yeah.
Now, it is a fact that Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship. The
Hmm.
Aadhaar Act itself does not say that it is a proof of citizenship. It
Correct.
is a proof
Yes.
of identity. And that
Hmm.
is why Aadhaar probably is the only document in our country
Yeah.
which gives a unique identity to every individual. Now,
Right.
yes, it is a fact that it is not a proof of citizenship. But the
Hmm.
point that in our country so far there
Hmm.
is no single document
Hmm.
issued by the government under the Citizenship Act which a citizen can produce as a
Hmm.
valid proof of citizenship. There are
Hmm.
many things which are assumed. For example, let's say the passport. The
Hmm.
passport can be given only to an Indian citizen, and therefore it is a valid document by which you can claim to be a citizen of India.
Yes.
Other than that, by inference,
Hmm.
because Article 326
Hmm.
says that voting rights will be only available to Indian citizens who are above the age of 18 and who are otherwise not disqualified. Therefore, if somebody has a valid document given by the Election Commission of India, treating him as an elector, he can very well say that here is a document which shows that I am a citizen of India and that is why my right has been recognized. But clearly, that is not under the Citizenship Act. It is only by influence. So I think the dilemma before the Election Commission is that so far, for the last 74 years, it has been treating many other documents as valid proof of identity.
Yeah.
And has been taking documentary evidence and subjecting the citizens to a verification of their ordinary residence to establish that yes, you are a resident of this place, and by virtue of your ordinarily residing in this area, you are entitled to be enrolled as a vote, as an elector. So that is the time procedure followed so far, which is being debated in this case.
So, Mr. Lavasa, was this necessary to do? That's one. Secondly, will we be able to complete this process in time for Bihar elections?
Well, I don't want to judge what will be the outcome because Election Commission has a track record of doing very, very gargantuan exercises, Herculean exercises in a short span of time. So I don't want to prejudge the outcome of this exercise. But the point is that since the objective of this, as claimed by the Election Commission, is purification of electoral rolls, I think nobody can dispute that. And nobody can argue that a non-citizen should be allowed to creep into the electoral rolls. So I think as far as including everybody in all eligible persons in the electoral roll, excluding the ineligible people on the electoral roll, I think these are very laudable objectives. In fact, it's a mandate of the Election
Right.
Commission of India.
Sure.
But the point, I think, is that whether it was necessary to do this exercise in such a short span of time.
Yeah.
That is why, if this exercise would have been undertaken as it is now being said, that this will be done in the entire country. So let there be open consultation, let the procedure to be followed be announced publicly, let people understand, let Election Commission carry out an education campaign to disseminate the procedure to the people, and then do it in ample time so that people are prepared for this exercise and they are able to respond to the requirements of the Election Commission.
So, Mr. Lavasa, what's your sense? The EC is supposed to get back with a response on July 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a possibility that there could be a rethink on this? The Supreme Court, of course, has clearly come out and said that, they've not stopped the process, but they've asked the EC to consider the arguments that have been presented. So, what is your sense, Mr. Lavasa, on this?
Shweta, all that I'm hoping for is that there are wise people sitting in the commission. They should understand, and they will understand the practical issues involved. And if this desirable exercise is being done at the risk of some people, some eligible people being left out, then I think the timelines require a review.
Because casting your vote is a fundamental right, and to take it away from people for various reasons, especially in a very poor state like Bihar, where there's a lot of migrant workers, who probably don't have any other form of identity. Well, we do hope that the EC is listening to you, Mr. Lavasa, and
But
they.
Shweta, I just want to say one more thing that I
Sure.
don't think it's a question of a rich person or a poor person losing his right to vote because the vote of every individual is the same. The value of the vote is the same. So
Absolutely.
we have to be equally respectful, equally concerned about every individual's vote. I think no eligible person, and by the way, that is the motto of Election Commission, no voter to be left behind. So I suppose that a very inclusive, empathetic approach is required in this situation.
All right. Thank you so much for that very insightful analysis, as always, Mr. Lavasa. Thank you so much. Of course, we'll keep tracking this story right here on Money Control. And a big thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. Do leave us your comments, thoughts, feedback in the comment section below. Like Mr. Lavasa said, that every voter is important for a democracy to function and to function well. So the Election Commission could do well with giving the voters more time to adapt to this special intensive revision. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.